Hi, I'm Lindy. Welcome to the studio. Today I'm just going to talk about how we correct mistakes when we're painting with pastels, and there isn't an artist around who doesn't make mistakes and wish they could correct them. So here's just a few tips and techniques about how we can do that with pastel. There are a few tools that we could use. I've got a kneadable eraser here. These are great because you can make them into any sort of fine point and you can just take small pieces out. So I may want to just take a part of the cliff out here. I can do it with that part and just take it back to the paper underneath by just rubbing gently on it there, and you can see it comes up on the eraser. I can then twist and move, get a clean piece, and I can take small parts out by making a very small point on my eraser. I might want to take out a bit of the path there, so I just carefully go across it with my eraser. And I've taken the top layer of the path off there. I might want to get more off, or my eraser might not be doing the trick. I can take a very stiff bristled brush, in this case it's a toothbrush. I can take quite a lot off by just rubbing hard on the pastel there, and the pastel dust will come down there. Sometimes I actually find the eraser quite good, better than the stiff brush, but if you've got lots of layers the stiff brush can help. You can use smaller brushes where you just want to take off small amounts, maybe a little bit of that tree grass is coming, the tree foliage is coming off out of the sky there. Okay. You can even use feathers just to take tiny, if you've got very fine detail, you can take tiny little amounts off with a feather. That's good if you've got some very delicate work. You can also use the other end tip of your feather to take, say, you want to clean up your tree trunk, you can just use that to go down the edge of your tree trunk. It's very, or to scratch back on a top layer of pastel to get back to the original on a very small, fine area, so a sharp object like that. You might even want to use a palette knife which could scrape the dust off. That again will make a very fine line. So if you wanted to go this bit of the cliff here, I could just, oops, lost it. Yeah, I could just take back small fine lines through that to the original colours underneath, and that's quite useful too. Say I really want to change quite a bit, and one thing with pastels is it's quite easy to go over the darker with the light, so let's have a go with that. We think that we've darkened up this cliff area too much and we want to go back, make some of it a bit lighter. So I'll just pick up a pastel, and that very dark area I can go over it with lighter very easily. It will easily go over the layers. But if I want to get a crisp dark, it's quite difficult to do that over a light, so perhaps I want to do something dark over here and I want it to be very dark, so I take a quite dark pastel and I try and cover it up. It kind of blends in with the light colour behind it and makes it hard to do that. So a trick here is to take your workable fixative. Now I'm going to spray this on here and you'll see, if I could get the lid off, there we go, and you'll see how workable fixative changes a painting. So what I'm going to do is just go part way down here and part way down here. You can immediately see how much that has darkened the painting off. So I'll talk about fixing your painting so the dust doesn't come off them and you can preserve the surface in another lesson. And one thing people can use is fixative, but this is why I don't use it at the end, because it just makes my painting much darker. But that can be useful if you want to change something. If your painting's too light all over, you can just put a coat of the workable fixative, and what that does is give it a little bit of a gritty surface again. It preserves what's underneath it, but it means that you can work over the top without you losing what's underneath and without losing too much pastel. It's still got a nice gritty surface for it. The paper that this one is just a little sketchbook. It's a Mitent sort of paper It's not sanded, it's just got a tiny bit of texture on it. So you can't put too many layers on here unless you use something like fixative. Now, it's dried off a bit now, so it's not nearly as dark, but it's still, you can see on this section of the sky, it's still much darker than the middle section. But it does mean that now I can go back in with a darker area. So this is an area down here that I've put the fixative on, and now when I go back into that to cover it up with a darker colour over the light, it's much more effective than doing it without the fixative. So that's another way you can correct a mistake. Put some fixative on and then go back into it with whatever colours you want to. Fixative is very useful for that. I can darken up something I've got too light, I can put it on, make a new surface and go over that surface again. So maybe here I want to then go back in. It is easy to go with a light over a dark, and so down here maybe I'm going to put the path back in over the dark I just put in, and that's relatively easy. If I wanted to put some highlight areas again in this cliff, you can see that the light goes over it very easily, but it will be harder then if I want to come back in and put a dark. I've got a very dark sort of black colour here, and putting it over it, it kind of mixes in and doesn't go as dark as you might like it to go. If I put more fixative on, that will help me with that. So that's just a few quick tips about what you can do. I could take that whole tree out with this eraser. So here we go. I'm just going to go back like that. In fact, let's get rid of all the trees. Here I go. Taking it back. Now it's not taking all the colour back, but it's taking it back quite a bit. Then I might want to just quickly dust it off with my feather. You can see a lot of the dust is coming off there. So that's all pastel that's coming off. So off that comes. I could go straight back over that with some sky blues. So I'm wanting to lighten the sky off, I'll just go back in. And it goes quite well over it, but I could say I want to do more layers. I'll just give it a little spray, wait for a moment for that spray to take effect, and that will just give me a little bit more grit on there. Then I can go back in again. You need to wait for it to dry, otherwise you're just going to make your pastels all cloggy and wet and damp. So it doesn't take long. So there I go, it's dried off. I'm going to go back in again over the top of that. I'm going to put a little bit of a paler colour down the bottom, down there, just to help blend it into the grasslands there. So put some of that on, go back in with another blue. Hey presto, no trees, and you can't really see any of that green through there. If you're a bit worried you could see some trees, another layer of fixative, more pastel, but I'd be pretty happy with that. And then if I want to just get rid of the cliff, same thing again. I'll give it a spray because it's very dark and I know that's going to be difficult to get lighter colours over. Let's get rid of that cliff altogether. Again, just let it dry a little bit, and I'll put in some more of those grassy sort of colours over the top. Here we go. I'm just going to make it a hill. And there, in fact, I've taken out everything there. I'll just put in some more different just changing it all together here, layering it up. So I'm getting an entirely different look. So I've changed that entirely from the first painting we had just by lifting off some of the dust with a kneadable eraser, spraying it with a bit of workable fixative, waiting for it to dry, and then going back on over other colours. And you can see that the really dark area of the cliff that was over here has been covered really well. I've covered a whole lot of trees with a new sky. It's quite easy to do, and that's one thing I do love about pastels. They're very forgiving when you make mistakes, and let's face it, we all do. So that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.